Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. Some people you might not have known were Lutheran or who were raised Lutheran. Tom Landry, who coached the Dallas Cowboys, and Troy Aikman, who was later a quarterback for the same team. And then there's something a little different, ex-pro wrestler and governor Jesse Ventura. Lutherans are involved in many areas of life, and today we want to look at one who was involved in many areas of life all by himself, Albert Schweitzer. Last week and this week, leading up to Reformation Sunday, we are looking at some famous and influential Lutherans, and frankly, it's a little bit hard to sum up Albert Schweitzer in the time that we usually have in these morning moments. He was a theologian, organist, musicologist, writer, humanitarian, philosopher, physician, and an ordained Lutheran pastor. He was born in Austria in 1875, and the church building in his town was shared by the Protestant Church and the Catholic Church, which held their services at different times in different parts of the building. Schweitzer, the pastor's son, grew up in this exceptional environment of religious tolerance and developed the belief that true Christianity should always work toward a unity of faith and purpose. As he was educated, he developed a love for music, especially Bach, and it wasn't long before he was considered one of the preeminent scholar and interpreter of Bach on the European continent. He compiled and edited Bach's works and performed them across Europe. Beginning in 1893, he studied theology and then did a year of military service, and when that was over, wrote a PhD dissertation on the work of Immanuel Kant for his degree in philosophy, finished up his theology degree, all while continuing to study music. In 1905, he began to study medicine and became a medical doctor. Meanwhile, he wrote several books on theology and philosophy that shaped the thought in both fields for decades. The most well-known of his books was entitled The Quest for the Historical Jesus, but he wrote important books interpreting St. Paul as well. Then, in 1912, this preeminent scholar, philosopher, theologian, and doctor gave all that up to go into the medical mission field. It's a stunning action that many see as him putting his beliefs into action. He went to a mission post in Lambaréné in Gabon, Africa, and founded a hospital there, providing medical care for people who had never had access to it before. When World War I broke out, Schweitzer and his wife were imprisoned for a time because of their German background, and when they were released, they resumed their work at the hospital. One of Schweitzer's chief contributions to philosophy was his concept of reverence for life. He wrote an article about the idea that he thought that Western civilization was decaying because it had abandoned affirmation of life as its ethical foundation. Care from one's neighbor was the foundation of his Christian belief, his philosophy, and his way of living. One of my favorite Schweitzer stories concerns a group of reporters that visited his hospital when Schweitzer was in his 80s. As the group walked up a steep hill, Schweitzer noticed a woman carrying a heavy load of wood up the hill as well, and he left the group, took the wood himself, and carried it up the hill. When he was asked about it, and if he should do things like that at his age, he replied simply, "No one should have to carry a burden like that alone." Schweitzer was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work and his concept of reverence for life. He died in 1965. Maybe there is something we can learn from someone who could have rested on his accolades and who instead gave all that up to go serve those in need. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.